Well, there are times when people get in crashes and they don't feel everything, or even they don't feel the degree of injury they do days later. So sometimes what happens, clearly, after you get in a crash, the first thing that the body does as a protective measure is adrenaline kicks in. The body naturally releases adrenaline, and that will, for various reasons, cause me not to feel pain immediately as much as I do after. So, but what can happen even, there's lots of different things that can occur over the following days. Of course, it depends on what treatment's received. Sometimes people will go to the doctor right away, but let's face it, there's lots of people, I would be one of these people, if I get in a crash, and again, if you're hurting right away, of course you're going to go in, but sometimes you're a little sore and you're not sure where it's going to go. So what we would all naturally hope is, hey, maybe if I just wait, it's going to go away. And then what happens in the days that follow is it just progressively starts to get worse and worse and worse until you decide, guess what? I don't think I can get away without going in and being seen and getting treatment, and then people go in. So I think the key, though, in that scenario, we as lawyers, we look at what we term a gap in care. So, what's a gap in care? I get hurt, I don't go to the doctor for X many days. Well, then I got to try to figure out, okay, so you call me, your collision was 2 weeks ago and you haven't been to the doctor yet, but you're telling me you're in pain. First question that I have back then is, well, when did your pain start, and tell me what you've been doing? Okay. Might be the scenario where they say, well, I woke up the morning after, I was a little sore, but I've gotten progressively worse. Okay, what'd you do? Okay, I took over-the-counter pain medications. I took hot showers. I had my significant other, my wife, whatever, rub my neck. You did things like that. That's much easier to establish that you had injuries and to be able to prove them back to the crash. And if you basically say, I wasn't doing anything. And again, there's situations where pain can come out of nowhere, even, a week or two after. Some would claim even longer than that. I struggle with that the longer the time frame is. But there can be issues where, you have a herniated disc, and the disc thins and then ultimately herniates, and then the pain kicks up a lot. So it can happen that way. I think the key, though, is as injuries come on after a crash, the best advice is probably get in early, get checked. If you don't, though, make sure in the scenario where you're talking to somebody, if you're talking to me, I'm going to ask all those questions to try to figure out, well, tell me the story of how this progressed to better link it back. But it's one of those things where the body's going to do what the body does, and we're all a little different. Everybody has different pain thresholds. Higher the pain threshold, the more you might be able to put it off. But at the end of the day, you got to get the facts, you got to get the information, you got to link it back. And then people have to get to the right medical providers to be able to help them figure out what happened, what it's related to, so that they can testify as experts and such, so that you can prove medical causation in your car crash or whatever injury case you're dealing with.